Sup fam, Jenkins here, bringing you another dank-ass Dota video on behalf of DotaAlchemy.com, and this one, like I said, is going to be a dank one indeed, because I was perusing through Dota 2, maybe I was going to play a pub, it's kind of late right now, so it'd probably be a bad idea, so I was looking at the watch tab, maybe I was going to watch some European game, see what, Dendy's doing, something like that, and then I saw that LGD and Team Aster were actually playing on the new patch, and it was a best of 3. So both of these teams obviously are tier 1 teams, amazing players, Fenrir, Baboka, Ame, like all of these players are insane, and you know that these guys are going to be theory crafting, like what is the best, most broken stuff to do on the patch, and I wanted to see what was up. So I looked at Chalice's player perspective, and I wrote down a bunch of my observations, and I just want to kind of show you guys what I saw him do, because I know that at the very least, for the next week and a half, you can probably do the things that we're seeing in these tier 1 games, and you'll win a lot of pubs for free, because people are just doing all sorts of random shit right now. They don't really know what's going on, but these guys, they're going to have theory crafted a lot of stuff together, so you know that it's going to be good. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get into the replay. So the first thing that I want to point out about this replay is that LGD second pick to Doombringer. I think that the reason that they did this, actually I should say there are 2 reasons that they did this. One more important than the others. So the first reason, and this is the less important one, Shadow Shaman and Brewmaster are 2 heroes that Doom is really great against, because they have these long cooldown ultimates, and it's a very easy Doom game if you know that you just Doom one of these guys before they get their ultimates off, and you'll probably win the fight, because a lot of the time when you build a draft around these 2, you're drafting around the fact that, you're going to get the Serpent Wards off on towers, you're going to get the Brewmaster ulti off in a fight, and he can obviously prevent that very easily with the Doom. The second reason, and the more important one, is that they think this hero's overpowered, straight up. This is a new patch, this is like the first series these guys have played on this patch, and they're going to be bringing out, what they think is strong. They're first facing a core. These guys obviously think Brew is overpowered. I would agree. I think he's really good. These guys think Doom is overpowered. I would agree. I think he's very, very good. And you can see that the bans are also heroes that are incredibly strong right now, and people are complaining about on Reddit. But basically, I thought that was important that they first phased it, because if a team of this caliber is going to first phase a hero, it means that if you want to first phase it in your pubs, absolutely go for it. It's genuinely going to be an A tier hero at least, if not S tier. So the second thing that I want to point out isn't actually related to 7.20 at all. It's just something really cool that Chalice did in terms of his starting build that I thought was very interesting. And essentially what people have been starting with for the most part as an offlaner is that they will expend all of their gold. They will buy 2 tangos, 1 salve, and 1 mango, and then of course a stout shield. But what Chalice does is instead he opts to go for a tango, 1 salve, and then 2 iron branches. And the iron branches are going to give him stats and then also allow him to place the trees, which he can consume for double tango. So he essentially has 5 tangos, and which is -1 from the other offlaning starting build that most people are doing. And then with this build, he gets stats and some nice regen, and then also starts with 100 gold, which means that he can walk over to the side shop as soon as the bounty runes are picked up, and he can purchase a quelling blade. So we'll go ahead and look at this rune situation. So they're fighting. Rubik goes and gets a rune, just 2 runes, pretty typical stuff, and then he walks over and he gets a quelling blade. So the reason that he does this is because a lot of the time at least in the last patch, I saw a lot of offlaners, they would go to the first wave, they would get enough gold for the quelling blade or like a wand against some Bat Rider hero or something like that, and then they'll walk back to the side shop and pick it up. But during that time that they're walking back, they get denied a bunch of creeps, and the enemy team has control of the equilibrium. If they want to push it out, they can. If they want to pull it back, they can just do whatever. So it's cool that Chalice did this, because he understands how important that first wave is and just having control of the lane is. So the second thing that he did, as we're watching him getting bullied here by these right-click heroes, and that's actually relevant to what I'm about to say, he is going for a casual Ring of Protection. He doesn't ever build this into a Ring of Basilius, and the reason that I think that he's going for this is because it's 2 armor, and Doom has 1 armor, so armor scaling logarithmically, and with how it was changed too in the last patch, less armor is better in terms of you need less armor to have the same physical resist that you would need more armor to have before. So essentially, he builds into the early ring of protection because he knows that he has the HP regen coming from the Devour. As we can see, is 8.5 regen, 15.5 with the Tango, and these are two right-click heroes. So he has the HP, he has the HP regen to sustain in this lane, but what he lacks is the armor. The only way, really, that they're going to kill him in this lane is if they burst him because he has low armor. So he goes for the casual armor item, and he knows he's going to completely destroy this lane. He doesn't even build it into a Basilius because he just doesn't want a Basilius. He just wants the armor, that's all. One thing that I noticed during this game, thanks to Chalice, is the fact that you can actually devour 2 creeps at once and gain double the regeneration rate. So we can see that it's about 14.8 right now. And when this cooldown goes down, the Devour time is 80 seconds. The cooldown is 60 seconds at this level. So he will have 20 seconds of overlapping Devour where he's going to get 20 regen. And when you have it maxed out, it's going to be 40 regen that Doom gets from Devour. That is an unbelievable amount of regen for this early into the game and probably needs to be nerfed. And for this reason, I think Chalice maxes Devour, and he essentially plays as a frontline tank. He builds into a Soul Ring and Phase Boots because it makes you tanky, and of course Doom is a hero who chases people and hits them, and that is obviously exactly what Phase allows you to do. You know, Doom has always done that because he dooms you, then he just tries to hit you with his Infernal Blade. But essentially he goes for the Soul Ring because he knows the HP cost is going to be easily recovered by the Devour. Like a few seconds of having Devour on and the Soul Ring HP, it doesn't even matter. And that Doom obviously has mana issues. People have gone for Soul Ring on this hero for a long time, but now it's actually even better. And just as a result of this Devour max build, he builds as a complete tanky frontliner. He builds into, like I said, the Phase Boots because they give armor, and then eventually builds into a Crimson Guard and plays the typical offlaner like Aura, runs in, starts fight. It's a beefcake, acts as a bouncer for his team, and it actually works very, very well. And the thing is, I have this theory, and I don't know if this video is going to be on the channel yet when I post this one, but I have this theory that the laning phase right now in 7.20 is about killing and getting a bunch of experience from the new experience calculation from your opponents in lane. And Doom is obviously great at killing because he has the Infernal Blade, which is insane for Harass, and when you get level 6, you can just solo kill somebody in the lane. But in any case, he's impossible to kill now with this Devour because he just has so much regen in the early game. And if you build into these early armor items like Phase Boots, which is already a good item, then he is nigh impossible to take down. So this hero is never going to give experience away in these lanes, which is a way to win the lanes, given the fact that experience is so much for getting kills. In a moment here, Chalice will see the Faceless Void teleport out, and as a result, he takes this opportunity to push the tower. And you might think, you know, how does a Doom push a tower? And the way he does this is very similar to how a Timbersaw pushes towers. So you can see that he's tanking the creeps here, and he's tanking the tower a little bit. And the reason for that is because he has this Devour regen. So if he is just at 100% HP and he's regenning, it does nothing. But a good way to utilize the fact that this regen is going to be wasted is just to tank the tower hits, so that way the creeps will survive for a little bit longer and do a little bit more damage to this tower. But Chalice, given that he's against obviously a good team and that he doesn't see a lot of people on the map, he is still careful in doing this, where he doesn't let himself drop below a large HP threshold. So like if he were to go down to 50% HP or something like that, it might be unsafe for him to do this because they could just TP in and kill him, and then it would actually be worth it. In any case, Ogre TPs in, tries to defend the lane, and he dooms the Ogre. I think there's two reasons that he doomed the Ogre. You might think of it as like quote-unquote wasted, but I think the fact that every team for the past couple of months has been sending like 5 rolls to just deal with the safe lane tower and pull creeps into the trees, he kind of knows that given that trend and that Void TP'd out, it's very likely that Ogre's just up here to waste time and to drag the creeps for as long as possible. So he says, screw that, I'm going to kill him, doom him, secure the tower. And also with how the new XP bounty works for killing people, he got quite a bit of experience for killing just an Ogre, whereas before you wouldn't get a lot for that because the Ogre is only level 4. And then of course he does end up securing the tower with that Ogre kill, because if there are 2 people that can't TP to the tower and there's a Rubik here already, it's very, very dangerous for the enemy team to come up here and try to defend this. But it's important to me the way that he gets this tower. It's the fact that he abuses the fact that he has this Devour. He plays his hero kind of like a Timbersaw, and I think that's exactly how you need to play Doom in the current patch if you want to be successful with him. Because imagine if you played Timbersaw and you didn't tank towers and tank creeps. I mean, that's the whole point of the hero, right? That hasn't been the point of Doom, but now that he can do that, you want to abuse that strength. Soon after Chalice takes the top tower, aka the enemy safe lane tower, he teleports to the bot lane, and the reason that he does this is because this lane is, as BSJ would say, the dead lane, and the fact that he took the top tower means that that top area of the map is very safe for his team to farm, and he's a big tanky Doombringer, so he wants to run to the lane that's as dangerous as possible and make as much space as possible, because he knows that he can do that, and if he does that, his team is going to get a lot off of the map if they want to farm, or if they want to take towers, which we can see is actually happening here on the middle lane, as he is very literally getting chronoed, and they cannot kill him. Like, it looks like Aster just does not understand how tanky this new Doombringer is, and this is exactly what Chalice wants, and this is why he teleported down here in the first place. He's wasting the time of 2 cores, and he has 2 cores that are farming elsewhere on the map and taking towers. So this is a very, very efficient trade, and he actually ends up getting a kill here just because he's so tanky that he baits them in. Like I said, he wants to play like a Timbersaw. He plays exactly like a Timbersaw would play, baiting people in, being tanky. They think they can kill you, and they overcommit for it. Then all of a sudden, you kill them, you take a tower that you probably shouldn't have gotten in the first place. Like, he was here to waste time, and he ended up wasting time so much that they end up getting this tower with the 3 support heroes on their team. Another thing that I want to point out that I forgot to mention in the last clip is that this bottom lane is the tower that Aster wanted to secure next because it's the easiest tower to get. So the fact that Chalice was able to take this tower and then TP down here without this tower being dead is really, really good, because that means that he can just sit there in that lane and essentially function as a bodyguard for this tower. And there's no way that they're going to get this tower because it's way harder to take. So if he just bodyguards this tower, then he's going to give his team a shitload of map control for as long as this tower is alive. And actually, one thing that I do want to point out, I said that he acted as like a bodyguard for that tower. He also acted as a bodyguard for this area. So the way that Chalice is playing this Doom is that no matter where his team is, no matter where they are occupying in the map, whether it's like a lane or a jungle or whatever, he is standing on the most dangerous section of that area. So when they were in this area here, he was standing right here at the ramp, so that if the enemy team ran up, he would be the first person that they see, that they have to go on. They have to go through him to get to his team. And I think that's a really great way of playing this hero. Once again, exactly like the Timbersaw. You want to play so that the enemy team, if they want to get to your team, they have to go through you, but you're so tanky that it's just not reasonable for them to kill you. So the final thing I want to cover, and the reason that it's the final thing is because the game basically ends right after this, but the final thing that I want to cover is the way that Chalice looks to play this hero, the way that you should look to play this hero if you're playing Doom in terms of in team fights and in the game. So essentially, LGD, they have Chalice standing on the left on the high ground, they have Dragon Knight standing on the right on the high ground. He's DK ulted, it's a replay bug, doesn't show that he's a dragon, but he is. He pops the Crimson Guard as they run away just to kind of force all of these spells out. He dooms the Void. He manages to get off the Chrono anyway. They go on the DK. It takes them a long time, and they have to commit really hard to go for him. The Panda puts him up in the air so they can go on him after him. Watch what he does in this fight. This is really interesting and important, in my opinion. So he turns around, and he actually devours a creep, which in the previous patch would be absolutely insane. And it's like, why is this guy doing this? He just wants gold. He's so greedy. Rubik comes in with a nice stomp. He Fade Bolts too very soon, and it looks like Aster has essentially completely overcommitted to this. Undying kills off the Alchemist, and Fenrir turns around to try to do whatever he can to protect his team. He ends up dying, and look at Chalice. He's at 50% HP. So essentially, playing as a frontliner is very, very important. Making sure that you're keeping your Devours up in these fights is really important, and saving your Crimson Guards and things like that to try to bait the enemy team in as much as possible. Get them to waste all of their spells, and then you can group up afterwards, or after they've wasted their spells in the same fight, you can actually wipe them just by virtue of them having all of their spells down and you abusing the fact that you have all this regen to tank all of their bullshit. So, like I said, this game ends very soon after this. Essentially, they all group up, they take a bunch of towers. Same thing happens where LGD actually has more items, so they can't even get close to killing Chalice or the Dragon Knight, and they just end up winning the game. So it's very, very simple, but I think that this only looked simple because it is a game that was won off the back of Chalice really understanding how this hero is played. And like I said, this is actually the fight where essentially the exact same thing happens. We'll speed it up just because it's very similar. As you can see, he runs in, Crimson Guarded, tanks a bunch of spells. He's taking so much. Like, the guy is so tanky. Just trying to put himself in the face of his team, or the enemy team, I should say. And then as a result of that fight happening over here and it taking so long and being so drawn out, the DK actually ends up taking this bottom tower. And then the DK does kind of what Chalice was looking to do too. He tanks a bunch of spells here, comes back, baits them in, they overcommit, and the Alk dies and the Ogre dies, and they take racks. They actually end up getting 2 racks here, and then the game is obviously just very easy to win past that point. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know, please, in the comments below if you want me to do more of this sort of thing, because that'd be very convenient for me, because I do replay analysis on my own anyway to try to get better at the game. So if I can do that and then also make some content out of it, that would be, you know, a 2 birds, 1 stone sort of thing. So if you guys like it, please make sure to comment below. Check out DotaAlchemy.com. We're uploading a bunch of 7.20 stuff. You can gain a bunch of MMR very, very quickly if you look at some of the videos that we have on there. Yes, I'm shilling my own site. Please go check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.